Hello and welcome to Actual English, everyone. I'm Jennifer Clyde. It's time for lesson 364, and today's topic is mental health for digital reliance. How much do you rely on your digital devices, such as your smartphone, for example? How many hours of the day or how many minutes of the day do you spend looking straight into your smartphone? I think a lot of people would be surprised to find out how much time they spend on their smartphones, sending text messages, doing web searches, doing whatever it is that you do on your smartphone. We do spend a lot of time, so we'll be talking about digital reliance today. If you're ready, let's begin with Actual Talk.
I think I need to declare my undying love for you because this is the only time in the day where I'm not actually just looking at my smartphone.
Right.
This is the only time during the day where somebody actually has my undivided attention.
Face-to-face contact.
Face-to-face contact. It's crazy. Today's society is just flipped out.
It's crazy. Everyone's on their phones, walking down the streets.
Yeah.
I see people collide
Yeah.
all the time. Almost getting hit by cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of it too.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, and I find myself, I can't fall asleep at night now.
No.
Because I set my alarm, I put my phone down, I lay there for 3 minutes, and I'm like, I'm bored. I wonder what's happening on my phone. I wonder what's happening on the internet. Maybe I should check it again.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Actually, in the States, and they're looking to trial it in Korea as well, is dividing the pavement in half.
No.
So that you have a smartphone user's side of the road.
You're not serious.
I am deadly serious, 100% to the max. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
So that people who are using their smartphone can just walk at a pace that is acceptable to themselves.
The smartphone user pace?
The smartphone user pace. I think it's a situation nowadays where we've become way overly reliant.
Right.
On
I mean,
our
it's so
smartphones.
useful.
Yes.
And I can't imagine living without it. But there's a lot of things I have access to on my smartphone that aren't so productive. There's a lot of productive things and a lot of unproductive things.
I think if we can filter out those unproductive things, then the technology that we have today is super useful, and we should look to use it
Right.
in the best way possible.
Right.
Welcome back, everyone. Did you enjoy the conversation? How many of you were listening to Martin and Mary talking about their problems and talking about what they do on their smartphones, how much time they spend on their smartphones, saying, I do that too. I did that. I was like, yeah, that's true. I set my alarm sometimes late at night. Although I'm feeling tired, I could try to go to sleep, but instead, if I don't fall asleep very quickly, what I do is I grab my smartphone and start looking through it. It's very unproductive, right? Okay, let's take a look at today's actual talk then. Here we go. Martin says, I think I need to declare my undying love for you. What is he doing? Okay. Now, he's not making a confession. He's not saying, I love you truly, Mary. He's kind of joking. He's jokingly saying, I think I need to declare my undying love for you, Mary. Okay. Once again, he's joking, but let's find out what declare means. Declare means what? It means to make known or to state clearly, okay? To let people know. All right, so he is expressing his feelings. He's letting it out. Okay, he's letting it out. He's expressing it. He is expressing his feelings clearly that he really cares for Mary. Undying love is what? We'll be going over that pattern, practicing it in a sentence later on, but undying love. Love we all know, okay? Of course, it's very easy, but undying love. Undying. If something dies, it's over. The end, right? But if something does not die, undying means that it lasts forever, everlasting. Okay? So he's saying, I want to declare my everlasting, my undying love for you. Mary says, what? What are you talking about? And here we go. Because this is the only time in the day where I'm not actually looking at my smartphone. Okay, so here we go. So he says, yeah, the reason I am saying this is because this moment, the moment I'm talking to you right now is the only time of the day that I'm not looking at my smartphone or looking into my smartphone. This is what he says. So obviously, once again, we know for sure that he is just joking. Moving on. All right, Mary now understands what he means. So she says, right. And once again, he explains, this is the only time during the day where somebody actually has my undivided attention. Now, first of all, we had undying love. Now we have undivided attention. So, once again, we all know what attention is, right? We often say, pay attention, focus on me, or focus on this, or whatever, concentrate. But undivided means what? It is not divided. 분산되지 않은, for example. Okay, 분리되지 않은, 분산되지 않은. So, if you say, all right, you have my undivided attention, it means my focus is on you. I am only thinking about you. So when you think about only one thing, one idea, one person, whatever it is, that one thing only, okay, you are giving it your undivided attention. So he says, yeah, well, this is the only time of the day that somebody has my undivided attention. 100% of my attention. Face-to-face contact, yes, meaning we're looking at each other. Okay, we're facing each other. Face-to-face means what? Face and face. You are facing each other, face-to-face. Okay, meaning to be together physically. It's crazy. Today's society has just flipped out. All right, flip out. This is a pattern we'll be going over, okay, as well. Flip out is not formal. It's informal. It's often used in slang as well. So it's informal, meaning to go crazy, okay? Flip out. A person can flip out, meaning to get really angry or to go crazy. So he's saying today's society has just flipped out. It's flipped out, okay? It's gone crazy. It's losing control of itself. And Mary says, everyone is on their phone. You are on your phone, okay? When you're talking to somebody over the phone, you can say, I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone, okay? So everybody is on their phone. Walking down the street, I see people collide all the time, almost getting hit by cars. Could get very serious, that's right. So she is just giving an example of what she usually sees, okay? How many people she sees on the streets, walking down the street, just looking into their smartphones or on their smartphones in very dangerous situations. Sometimes, yeah, they almost get hit by cars. They almost get into car accidents. But what did she say? Collide. I see people collide all the time. Collide means to hit, okay? To hit or strike against, bump into, okay? Bump against one another. So bump into one another, for example, okay? With very great force, with great force. So usually cars can collide, meaning they can crash into each other. So she's saying people collide all the time. They bump into each other and sometimes almost get hit by cars. I'm guilty of it too. What does she mean by this? I'm guilty of it as well, meaning that she does it too. She walks down the street talking on the phone or looking into her smartphone. And I can't fall asleep at night now because I set my alarm. I put my phone down. I lay there for 3 minutes. And I'm like, meaning she thinks to herself, I'm bored. I wonder what's happening on my phone. So this is what she thinks to herself. All right. Now this is the part I was asking you about. Do you do this too? Because I do this too. It's time to go to bed. You're tired. You turn the lights off, okay? You set your alarm. Okay, I'll wake up at 7 o'clock tomorrow. You put your phone down. You lay there in bed for about 3 minutes, maybe a minute even, and say, no, wait a minute. What's going on my phone? So you grab your phone again and look through it. That's exactly what she's saying. This is what she does, okay? So she's kind of addicted to her smartphone. And she says, I'm bored. I wonder what's happening on my smartphone. This is, I think, something that's quite common these days. Anyhow, she says, I wonder what's happening on the internet. Maybe I should check it again. This also is what she thinks to herself before she falls asleep. Yep, it's crazy, isn't it? Martin says. Actually, in the States, here we go, in the States, they're looking to trial it in Korea as well. All right, so he talks about what's happening in the States and he says, it's also happening in Korea as well. What is happening? Dividing the pavement in half. Wow, I did not know this. But yeah, let's take a look. They're looking to trial something out. Now, Martin did use the word trial, but I would say try to use the word test. You can test something out. You can test something, which means to see how it goes, see what it's like. It's kind of like experimenting, okay? So trying something out. Try something out. You can test something out, okay? So he's saying that in America they're doing this, and he thinks that also in Korea they're thinking about testing this out, trying things out. What is it? Dividing the pavement in half. Now, pavement is what? Usually in the US and Canada, we call it the crosswalk. It's the part of the road next to, alongside the main road where the cars drive along. It's the road where pedestrians walk on. Okay, we call that, crosswalk. So pavement in half. Dividing the pavement in half. Really, are they considering that? Well, I don't know. No, she says. No, meaning no, that can't be. You can't be serious. Martin says, well, yes, so that you have a smartphone user's side of the road. So, he's saying they are thinking about making a smartphone user's side of the road. Like a smartphone user's road for pedestrians to walk on. Okay? Now, Mary, it's hard for her to believe, so she says, you're not serious. Well, Martin is serious. He says, I am deadly serious. We often say I'm dead serious as well, but yes, I am deadly serious. I'm dead serious, meaning 100% serious. Serious to the max. Also 100%. Why? So that people who are using their smartphone can just walk at a pace that's acceptable to them. That is acceptable to them. So we're talking about people that are using their smartphones. People using their smartphones walk at different, speeds. Some walk fast. If you're listening to music, if you're looking at something very serious, if you're reading something, you can walk really, really slowly. So he's saying these roads can be like a special road for pedestrians that are on their smartphones. They could walk fast, they could walk slow, all right? That's what he's saying. And she says, the smartphone user pays? Yep, the smartphone user pays. And he says, I think it's a situation nowadays. So we're talking about what's happening these days, where we've become way overly reliant on our smartphones. Today's topic is what? Digital reliance. Digital reliance. R-E-L-I-A-N-C-E. But here we have reliant. R-E-L-I-A-N-T. Reliant. Reliant, which means dependent. You depend on something. So these days, people have become way overly reliant on smartphones. People are depending too much on their smartphones. I mean, it's so useful. That's true. Smartphones are useful, and I can't imagine living without it. I cannot think of living without smartphones. I can't imagine living without smartphones. But there's a lot of things I have access to on my smartphone that aren't so productive. Okay, that are not so productive. So here we go. Towards the end of the conversation, Martin says, I think if we can filter or filter out those unproductive things, then the technology that we have today is super useful. Okay. Do you understand what he's trying to say? Okay. He's saying if we can filter out, it means to remove something with a filter. So kind of like spam mail, right? We can filter spam mail, put it aside. So he's saying if we can divide everything, filter something out, unproductive things that are not productive, meaning not very useful. So if we can filter things that are not very useful, well, then the technology that we have today can be really, really special, super useful. We should look to use it in the best way possible, okay? We're talking about using today's technology in the best way possible. And of course, Mary seems to agree, so she says, right, that is true. I agree. I agreed with what Martin is saying as well. I hope you do too. Well, let's take a listen to it one more time.
I think I need to declare my undying love for you. Because this is the only time in the day where I'm not actually just looking at my smartphone.
Right.
This is the only time during the day where somebody actually has my undivided attention.
Face-to-face contact.
Face-to-face contact. It's crazy. Today's society is just flipped out.
It's crazy. Everyone's on their phones, walking down the street.
Yeah.
I see people collide
Yeah.
all the time, almost getting hit by cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of it too.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, and I find myself, I can't fall asleep at night now.
No.
Because I set my alarm, I put my phone down, I lay there for 3 minutes, and I'm like, I'm bored. I wonder what's happening on my phone. I wonder what's happening on the internet. Maybe I should check it again.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Actually, in the States, and they're looking to trial it in Korea as well, is dividing the pavement in half.
No.
So that you have a smartphone user's side of the road.
You're not serious.
I am deadly serious, 100% to the max. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
So that people who are using their smartphone can just walk at a pace that is acceptable to themselves.
The smartphone user pace?
The smartphone user pace. I think it's a situation nowadays where we've become way overly reliant.
Right.
On
I mean,
our
it's so
smartphones.
useful.
Yes.
And I can't imagine living without it. But there's a lot of things I have access to on my smartphone that aren't so productive. There's a lot of productive things and a lot of unproductive things.
I think if we can filter out those unproductive things, then the technology that we have today is super useful, and we should look to use it in the best way possible.
Right.
It's now time for actual expressions, everyone. A chance for us to go over the vocab words we learned today and also review the patterns. So here we are. The first word we have for you is declare. Here we go. Stress goes right there. Declare. Declare, which means to make known or to state clearly. Okay? To claim or acknowledge are some synonyms you can use for in place of declare. What about collide? Collide means to strike against, bump into, forcefully. So crash, hit, slam into, sideswipe. Okay, this is slang, definitely. This is informal as well. But these are all wonderful synonyms you can use for collide. What about pavement? Okay, pavement, here we go. As I did mention in the US and Canada, I think I said crosswalk earlier on. I meant sidewalk. Not crosswalk where you cross the street, but sidewalk. that road, okay, or that part of the road that pedestrians walk on. Pavement is sidewalk, okay? So we're talking about asphalt, road, or even sidewalk. What about reliant? Here we go. Pronunciation, reliant. 2 times. Reliant. Reliant. Dependent, as I mentioned, okay? In today's actual talk conversation, we were talking about how people these days seem to be overly reliant on their smartphones. They depend too much on their smartphones. So, susceptible is another synonym, but dependent is perfect. What about filter? You can either say filter or filter out, okay? Refine, exude, okay? And unproductive, take a look at un. It is not productive, so unproductive, stress goes right there. It's useless. Okay, simply put, and it's unrewarding. Useless is perfect for unproductive. Moving on to undying love. Okay, if you want to, I guess, express your love for someone, try using undying love. Undying love, love that does not die, that lasts forever. Harry declared his undying love for Sally. Harry declared his undying love for Sally. Good job. Moving on. Undivided attention. This time it's not undying, it's undivided. It's not divided. It's one. Okay? So, if you give somebody or something your undivided attention, it means that you are concentrating. You are focusing on that one thing or that one person. Okay? That thing or that person has your 100% attention. Whenever I go to my dad for advice, he gives me his undivided attention. Yes, I think parents usually do this. When their children come to them to talk to them for advice, they focus on you, they concentrate you, they only think about what you have to say. So you could say, whenever I go to my dad for advice, he gives me his undivided attention. He only concentrates on me. Got it. Okay, let's move on to our final one, to flip out. Flip out means to what? To lose control. Okay, to go crazy. So here's a sentence. My neighbors flipped out when I parked my car in front of their house. So the problem is that this person parked his or her car in front of their neighbor's house. So they got really angry. They went crazy. They lost control. They lost their temper. They got really angry. They flipped out when I parked my car in front of their house. Okay, that's a wrap for today's actual expressions.